we have been faced with the tragedy of some 40,000 people a year being killed by guns in our nation over the last number of years. And it's out of control. But we can get a handle on this. We can reduce gun violence. We can reduce gun deaths in America. More people have to participate.
Paul Friedman, founder and executive director of Safer Country, a Virginia-based nonprofit dedicated to improving gun safety in the U.S., is being interviewed by local student Nayelis Castillo about ways to reduce gun-related violence and death.
Hi, and welcome back to another edition of the Sustainable Scoop. My name is Nayelis Castillo, and joining me today is Paul Friedman, the executive director and founder of Safer Country. What would you change to the system of obtaining weapons?
Well, the Second Amendment does protect, under the last interpretation by the Supreme Court, the Heller case, does protect the right of individuals to have a gun in their home for personal protection. And we do know that, by and large, the country supports the concept that people should be able to purchase guns. But we have to make sure that the people who are doing that are not prohibited from buying guns legally and are safe in the way they store these guns. There are a lot of measures we can take to reduce the threat of gun violence and gun deaths in our country without eliminating the sale of guns entirely.
The law in Virginia says that you must be 18 years old to buy a gun, but you must be 21 years old to buy a vaping pen. What do you think about this?
We definitely need to increase the age to 21. A gun is extremely dangerous, and we need to provide gun licensing the way we do automobile licensing to ensure that only safe people, trained people, knowledgeable people are owning guns.
So let's talk a little bit about the red flag law. Not many people understand the concept of de-escalation. They see these laws as an infringement on their rights. Can you explain the law?
Yes, I'm pleased to do that. De-escalation is in the news these days more and more because concerned about the way the police interact in certain communities. We've seen the many instances where the attempt by the police to deal with the situation has gotten out of hand rather than lowered the temperature and reduced the danger. Well, trust in the police is a critical element in our society. We need to redevelop that, and we need new rules, we need new approaches, new training, and new ways in which we work with our police departments to make that possible. The red flag law, which it's commonly called, is really a law about creating a new protection order. It's an order by the court that would allow law enforcement to remove a gun or guns from a home where the individual living in that home and having access to that gun is considered to be a danger to themselves or others. And it allows either someone in the public or law enforcement itself to intervene. It brings their attention to someone who they consider to be, that law enforcement considers to be a danger to themselves or others. If they make that assessment, if an officer were to interview that person and assess that person that way, they can then go to a judge, make a case to the judge, either electronically or in person, that a gun should be removed from that home. And if the judge agrees, that protection order, it's called a substantial risk protection order here in Virginia. It just went into effect July 1st, that law. It's called an extreme risk protection order in other states. And then that order will allow them to remove the gun. But the bottom line is that this is a temporary protection order. Very important to know that the person whose gun is removed does have a very swift opportunity to go to court and make the case that they should not have had their gun removed. That provides for due process. And that's very important because here we're taking a gun away from someone prior to them having committed the crime. It's very important that they have a swift due process in these kind of cases.
So are you promoting taking away a person's right to bear arms?
No, not at all. not at all. Our slogan is keeping guns out of unsafe hands, not out of all hands. As I mentioned earlier, the Second Amendment has been interpreted in a Supreme Court decision called Heller, and the majority opinion was written by a conservative icon, Justice Antonin Scalia, the late justice. And he articulated the many ways that gun regulations are acceptable. He articulated the fact that cities have the right to prevent guns from being brought into public buildings or in public spaces where they're threatening, and as well that military-style weapons can be regulated. So there are, many regulations that are reasonable and appropriate and accepted, even by like Antonin Scalia, who, as I say, the leading conservative on this matter. So I don't think a lot of people recognize that.
Right.
But education is critical.
They also discussed the 2018 incident at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, and how the students banded together to protest gun violence.
How would you say that they were successful in achieving their goals?
It's extremely tragic, of course, when 17 people were killed in Parkland, Florida, at this high school. And what's truly remarkable is the way the surviving students came together as a unit and were able to speak up so clearly and so well and so knowledgeably about the crisis that they confronted. It was truly unusual, and I think caught the country off guard to see young people who could stand up for themselves in such a remarkable way. And it caught the country's attention and inspired people to realize that they could stand up too. So they not only inspired young people, I think they inspired the whole country, and in fact the world, to stand up and say enough gun violence.
I want to thank Paul Friedman, the executive director and founder of Safer Country, for speaking about the very important topic in today's world.
I want to thank you very much for inviting me on to speak about this critical issue.